Hey, successors, before we get into the show today, I want to tell you about my new book, Indulge Your Affirmative Motivation Within, 25 Motivations of Personal Development and Life Success. If you're struggling to stay motivated in life or on your entrepreneurial journey, head on over to Amazon.com right now and grab yourself a copy. This book is filled with 25 of the things that have helped me stay motivated over the last few years of my journey. That's Indulge Your Affirmative Motivation Within, 25 Motivations of Personal Development and Life Success. Go ahead and check it out, leave a review, and feel free to go ahead and shoot me an email and tell me what you think about it. Email me at info@the4pos.com. Thanks. Now on with the show.
Success. Media. Network. 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 Network.
This is your show.
Good day, successors. I'm Antonio Holman, and welcome to the 4 Principles of Success number 37, where I chat with successful people and entrepreneurs about how they enhance their businesses and lives in the areas of knowledge, health, wealth, and spirituality. Today, we're talking to Michael Kohan. Michael, or also known as Mukunda Chandra, is located in Lambertville, New Jersey, and is dedicated to helping his clients and students find balance in all aspects of their lives: emotional, spiritual, mental, and physical. Michael is a certified health and life coach, a 500-hour registered yoga teacher, and a certified Vedic Thai yoga bodywork practitioner who works with others to help them restore balance in their lives by helping them make better, more conscious lifestyle choices. Michael's goal is to help clients and students discover the skills to help them move forward in all areas of their lives. He feels that his purpose is to serve others through his teachings by encouraging students and clients to become steadfast in their own practices while integrating spiritual and mindful living into their day-to-day lives. Michael, are you ready to help our listeners prepare for success?
What's going on, success people? I'm ready to go. I'm ready. I'm pumped.
All right, excellent. That's what we like to hear. All right, so you got a nice little resume there, but we know nothing about your personal life. How about you fill us in on that?
What would you like to know about my personal life? Like what time I get up in the morning, or what do I do in my free time?
Hit us with some everyday, mundane type things you do on a regular basis.
Well, I try to get up exactly 8 hours after I go to bed to the best of my ability. So if I go to bed at 10 o'clock at night, I like to get up at 6 a.m. If it's 11 o'clock at night, I like to get up at 7, 12, 8. See how that works? And I usually go to bed at 10 p.m. and I get up at 6 a.m. And I spend the first 2 hours of my morning working on myself and becoming a better person. I spend the first 20 minutes to a half hour reading a personal development book. Right now I'm reading a Tony Robbins book. Then I take a shower. Then I do 30 minutes of prayer meditation in my spiritual tradition. Then after that, I journal, and I write in my journal. I empty my mind of all my junk. And then after that, I do Tai Chi. Then I do practice yoga. Then I do a little spiritual warrior workout, followed by some Taekwondo practice. Then I shift into kind of resetting my mind. I meditate for 5 minutes. Then I review my mission statement, my vision board, and my weekly and monthly goals. And I do this almost every day religiously. And I use Evernote to keep everything organized as a way for me to review what I need to get done each day.
I love that, because none of it sounded mundane at all.
No. I mean, I didn't start out here. 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I woke up hungover every day as a functioning alcoholic working in the city in corporate America. I woke up and the first thing I had was a cigarette and a bacon, egg, and cheese.
Oh,
my life just completely shifted from where I was 10, 15 years ago.
Wow. So that's where I'm headed with your next question here. So you were in the corporate world and you transitioned from that corporate world to building a health and wellness business from scratch with no initial investment. How would you do that?
Well, at first I failed miserably. I mean, I fell on my face. So I was working in corporate America and I had a really good job. I was making, I don't know, $160,000 as a base salary plus bonus. And it just got to a point in my corporate job that it didn't fit in with the people I worked in. And my values and what I wanted to do with my life just shifted away from my job in real estate marketing to wanting to be a yoga teacher. That's kind of was my passion. It was my, I would get up in the morning and practice yoga and study yoga, and I was a certified yoga teacher. But I made the mistake of jumping all in. I thought because I've been practicing yoga for 15, 20 years, that if I just jumped all in as a yoga teacher, I'd be successful, because I kind of drank the Kool-Aid acid of a lot of like business gurus where they're like, find your passion and you'll be successful, and go all in and you'll be successful. I don't know about you, but I failed when I followed that principle. And if I had to do it over again, I would have much rather have pivoted into a career as a yoga teacher.
Yeah, that sounds like the smarter move. It doesn't sound like you were being safe, or it doesn't sound like that would be being safe, but that sounded like a smarter decision instead of just going all in. Yeah.
Right, because I had to learn how to be a yoga teacher. There was something that came really good out of it, so don't get me wrong. My failure led to an additional career shift because I found myself completely on my butt at 36 years old with no money and broke, and having to start all over again. It forced me to look at myself in the mirror and was like, what is wrong with me? Why am I not successful anymore in life? And that brought me down my journey as a life coach and health coach. So there was a reward, or something good came out of my sort of like, explosion, destruction, and, chaos that I created. But I could have done it easier and better if I kept my current corporate job, started teaching yoga part-time, and then gone to school to get certified as a health coach and then a life coach, and added the certifications while working full-time. I would have done it faster because I would have had more resources to invest in my trainings and build my business. Mm-hmm. So that's my lesson I learned. Like, if I ever did it again, which I am pivoting into other avenues of my business now, I've learned my lesson of not jumping all in and rather pivot over a slow period of time, so it's a much easier and much faster growth experience.
A lot of us think we actually know what yoga is, but in your own words, tell us what you feel it really is and how it enhances people's lives.
Well, so what most people view yoga as is a physical practice to, increase strength and flexibility. And that's a very tiny little piece of what yoga really is. Yoga is a spiritual practice for an individual to understand what it means to be them, or who they are, and how to connect that to a higher purpose in life. So we as human beings have this propensity, desire to try to find happiness. And there's this story that I love teaching and talking about. Is there's this man or woman is in the woods, and it's cold out and it's snowing, and they're naked. And they're trapped in the woods, and they have no food, and they're starving, they have no clothes, and it's snowing outside, and they're miserable. So they wander through the woods, and they come across a cabin. And they open up the cabin, and there's a fire. And they walk over to the fire, and they sit down, and then they put a blanket around them. So now they're clothed and they're warm. And then they find a little bowl of stew waiting for them, so they eat. So they've gotten from nothing to this little bit of change, and their life is so much better. So then we think if we have more of that stuff, we're going to be even happier. And that's just not true. And yoga, and the practice of yoga is to unmask what it means to make you happy. And happiness doesn't come from finding your passion and trying to fulfill your passion in life, because your passion could be collecting baseball cards or practicing or playing basketball. That could be your passion. What brings you true happiness is trying to find your purpose in life. What makes you uniquely gifted to make the world a better place? And when you find that, that's your purpose, then you find true happiness, and then you are able to connect to a higher self. And that's what yoga is about, understanding that.
Love those words. I love those words so much. They mean so much. A lot of people just don't get it yet, but maybe eventually they will. Now, what was your first experience with yoga, and how old were you?
I was 23 years old. Yoga was this fringe, hippie, kind of crunchy community. Everybody kind of smelled a little bit. And I was one of those smelly people myself. And I had it as an elective for gym class in college. And that was my first yoga class. And I didn't really take yoga as a real physical practice and a spiritual practice till about 10, 12 years later, when I was 30 years old. I weighed 220 pounds. I was overweight. I was going through a divorce, and my stepfather was in the hospital dying of cancer. And I was just in a really bad place emotionally and spiritually. And I used yoga along with seeing a psychologist as a way to overcome my anxieties and anger issues, as well as lose weight and become healthy.
What inspired you to actually teach yoga and other types of wellness to other people?
Well, there's a saying in yoga that in order to advance your practice, in order to become advance your yoga practice, you have to teach. That's one of the principles of teaching yoga. So I was practicing yoga for 12 years, and I was really into the spiritual practice of yoga. And I was really heavily into the community. I would wake up in the morning, I would go to my yoga studio, I would practice yoga, and then I would go to my little ashram temple in the city, and I would meditate, and then practice and do my morning prayers, and then I'd go to work, and then I'd get out of work, and I would go to yoga. And that's all I did. And I didn't go out. I just practiced yoga. And so I was living a separate life. My life was, I had my work life, and I had my yoga life, and they weren't together. And so I was really stressed out all the time trying to live these two separate lives. And I just decided that yoga was more in line with how I wanted to live my life. And so I decided to become a yoga teacher to have more of a work-life spiritual integration, that what I did for a living was in line with my spiritual life. Through that journey, I then decided and got the calling to become a life coach and a health coach, because I found that teaching yoga, part of the teachings of yoga was working with people in their social challenges, relationship challenges, and career challenges, that a lot of people, when they were practicing yoga, they would come to me after class with life issues. And so I was realizing I was giving people advice and I wasn't necessarily qualified. So I decided to get certified in teaching yoga, certified as a life coach. And I went to school for different certifications, and I continued to do that. And they kind of just fit into a business model of being a yoga teacher and a life coach and having two different revenue streams. And because I don't know about you, but I hated when I was a yoga teacher just relying on teaching yoga as a revenue stream, because if I hurt myself, I wasn't making any money. And if I wasn't teaching yoga, I wasn't making any money. And so as a life coach, I have a second revenue stream that if I'm teaching yoga and a yoga studio goes under, because it does happen, I'm not suffering economically as much. And I have another stream of revenue to balance myself out with.
Now, Michael, you teach holistic wellness. For those who may not know what holistic wellness is and how it can enhance people's lives, what is holistic wellness, and what's the difference between that and alternative medicine?
Well, holistic wellness is the complete whole of wellness. So what it doesn't mean when you teach holistic wellness that you don't use modern medicine or work with people with modern medicine. Holistic health and wellness means you are part of an entire team of people that attack a problem from different angles. So if someone is having trouble losing weight, which is a common thing in this world these days, because last I read, 70% of the people in America are obese. So weight loss is a huge issue. If you attack that as a holistic way, you would look at it from a psychological standpoint. You would look at it from a lifestyle standpoint. You would look at it from a medical standpoint, and you would look at it from a spiritual standpoint. And you would be either part of a partial part of that team or tackling 2/3 of that team. in order to help people become healthier in some aspect of life. So if I can give a different example maybe for your audience, a lot of times people have like psychological issues, like they're struggling in a relationship, right? And they want to go, so from a medical standpoint, you would go see a psychologist. Then that would be like all you would do. From a holistic standpoint, you would see a psychologist. Then you would maybe work with, a yoga teacher. Then you would examine your spiritual life. Then you would look at your financial life, and you would kind of see what those circles around you and try to figure out from a full compass of how to make your life better. Because not one way is going to work. Not one way is going to solve all your problems.
How does alternative medicine fit in this equation?
Depends on the person. I'm not a medical doctor. I'm a yoga teacher. I'm a health coach. I'm a life coach. Those are my practices. I find a lot of people, when they come to me, it's usually because modern medicine is either failing them or not working to 100% of their ability. And so what I personally like to do is I like to work with people and modern medicine to help somebody become better. A lot of times, just from a physical standpoint, with people that have like shoulder issues and hip issues and back problems, all they really need to do is learn to, stand with better posture, fire up their glutes, which is their butt, develop a little bit of a core, and pull their shoulders back, and a lot of their problems get better and replaces surgery. So, and then in terms of herbal supplements and herbal remedies, a lot of times people have like inflammation and they have health issues, and it's just mostly due to diet and like sleep and exercise. That if we ate a little bit more better, like vegan, vegetarian diets, had healthier greens, took some vitamins, got enough sleep, and turned off the TV, a lot of our health problems would go away. But you can't ignore modern medicine at the same time. I'm not an herbalist, so I couldn't tell you what herbs to use. I use nutrition like food and as my medicine.
In this day and age, with all the great technologies, opportunities, and conveniences that we have at our fingertips, there still seems to be a great deal of unhappiness in the world. Now, with that being said, why do so many of us still suffer when all our basic needs are actually met?
Well, it's kind of one of the core things that I help people with as a life coach. We, in this world, not just America, view this world and think that the last 20 years, for some reason, has been the standard of life for the last 5,000 years. And even unless you're in a war-torn part of the world where bombs are dropping over your head and people are walking around with guns and there's roving militias, you're living better than anybody has ever in the history of the world. And most people in the world have a roof over their head, enough food to eat, clothes, and some sort of job. That's like never in the history of the world has that ever happened. So the bulk of humanity has their basic needs met. And when you have your basic needs met and you still are unhappy, it's, in my humble opinion, it's because you are, one, identifying with your material body. You're looking at this physical form and saying, I am, male, female, I am, from this country, I am identified with this physical manifestation of who I am, and instead of looking at yourself as a spiritual being. And so you don't identify with yourself as the soul, you identify yourself in this material body. So you try to find happiness through stuff. You always are looking for the nicer car, the nicer TV, the bigger house. And these are all temporary forms of happiness. And then when you go out and you buy them, what happens? Everybody has buyer's remorse, because how much bigger of a TV do you need? And how much nicer of a car that you need? And so our society has been set up to reward people for not living with integrity. so people can get stuff that they don't need, to live in a house they can't afford, to go on vacations they can't afford. And then they wake up and they're like, I'm not happy still. I have all this stuff. I have a job. I have food in my belly. Why am I not happy? I look on Facebook and I compare and contrast myself to the other people around me. And I see people on Facebook and they're all smiling and they're on vacation. So that must be how I get happy. So let me go on another vacation I can't afford. And then I look at my neighbor and they're driving a nice new car that's nicer than mine. And they're outside pretending they're happy. So I must go out and get that car to be happy. And then they get it, I'm still unhappy. So then, because I'm unhappy and my neighbor's unhappy, it's got to be somebody else's fault. So now I'm going to compare myself to other people. I'm going to point my finger. It's that person over there that doesn't look like me, that speaks different than me, that has different beliefs than me. It's their fault that I'm not happy. I have all this stuff, and I still am worried about my job, my life. I have a roof over my head, food in my belly, and a job. But for some reason, I'm not happy. Now I'm worried that all this stuff that I don't really need is going to be taken away from me. So my happiness is in jeopardy because it's that person's fault over there. And that's why people are unhappy. Because then you go out and you say, well, why am I unhappy? And somebody says you need to find your passion. You got to find your passion. Fulfill your passion. If you find your passion, you'll be happy. So you go, well, my passion is this physical body, so let me go drink a bunch of alcohol and sleep around with people and fulfill my material desires. That didn't work. I'm still unhappy. Because we have to realize that we're spiritual beings. We're the soul. We're not this body and we're not this mind. These are temporary manifestations. So we're actually the soul, something that a spark of divinity that lies within us. And then when we identify with that we are spiritual beings living a material life rather than material beings living a spiritual life, then we begin to say, well, what does it mean to be a spiritual being? And every religion, whether it's Judeo-Christianity, Islam, Hinduism, Buddhism, Wicca, spirituality, all say the true purpose in life is to find your purpose and make the world a better place through that purpose. And when you do that and you serve others, you'll be happy. That's what everybody says. That's what every teaching from like every part of the world says the same thing. But we, for some reason, with the human condition, because we're not used to having our basic human needs met, certainty, uncertainty, love, and significance, these are new phenomena that they're all fulfilled. We continue to want to strive to get more stuff and yet continue to be unhappy because of it.
I love these words so much. You're hitting the nail right on the head. I love it.
And this is a life coach. This is what I work with my clients, to try to move them away from the stuff they don't need and to focus more on building better relationships and living a more spiritually minded life. There's nothing wrong with having an office job. We have this like myth this day, like the age of the entrepreneur, that you're not happy in your job, so quit your job to become an entrepreneur. I don't know about you, Antonio, but I work like a dog as an entrepreneur. I start my day at 6 a.m. I start my actual work day at 8, and I end my work day at 9 p.m. I spend an hour after the end of the day watching a little TV on my iPad and going to bed, and I do that 6 days a week as an entrepreneur. I don't spend my time on the beach hanging out like you see on social media, these like lifestyle gurus. I know them. They have no money. That's an illusion. Like, you can have your 9-to-5 job and be happy. It's how you look at it that determines whether it's going to bring you fulfillment. So if your purpose is to be a good father or a good mother, or your purpose is to be a good community leader, your 9-to-5 job provides you with the resources to do that, so you can make the world a better place. There's nothing wrong with this working for a company and being a part of it instead of being like, we have too many people that want to be chiefs and not enough Indians.
Powerful.
But at the same time, it doesn't mean that you as a human in the modern world should work in a company that dumps on you. You're not a product. You're not a machine. You're not gym equipment. You're a person. And we as a society need to shift we need to be a part of a cultural shift that says the job of the corporation is to take care of the employee, and the job of the employee is to take care of the consumer. and not the job of the corporation is to take care of the shareholders. And it's been proven time and time again, when you take care of your employees take care of your customers, you make more money, people work harder for you, and your corporate environment's better, and you get better talent. So for some reason, I don't know why people don't follow that model.
Now, connected to this same point, at this point in my life, I believe that, our life's purpose is directly connected to happiness. How do we even go about, starting to find the meaning in life purpose that we have?
Well, happiness, like anything, is hard work. Just like if you go to the gym or you have a 9-to-5 job, being happy is a job. Doesn't come naturally that you wake up and you're just happy. We have this expectation in life that, I'm just going to wake up in the morning and be happy. Yeah, I'm happy. And so what we do then, because we expect to be happy, we create what's called attachments. We have in yoga, in Sanskrit, it's vyagyam, or attachment. And so we cling to the high points and low points in life. So what happens is we get up in the morning and we work all week, and then we get a paycheck. And we want to be happy, and so we go out and buy a bunch of stuff that we don't have enough money for it, and that brings us happiness. And then we're broke and we're in credit card debt, so that when we're sad. And then we do it over again. We go through these periods of happiness and sadness because we're attached to these things in life, because we think that happiness is supposed to be here at all times. And then when we suffer, we think only we suffer and the people around us aren't suffering. And so happiness starts with an understanding that every person in this world is going to go through high points and low points in life. You're going to have suffering. Shit's going to hit the fan. I don't know. You might have to bleep that out. So bad stuff's going to happen. You're going to lose your job possibly. Somebody in your family is going to get sick. The human condition is one day we are all going to die. So things come and things go in life. Happiness comes and happiness goes. And so as someone who wants to be happy in life, you don't want to be ambivalent, because if you're ambivalent to the world, you're a narcissist, and that's not going to bring you happiness. You want to understand that when you have good points in your life, like you have, you're financially stable, you're having a good time, that those are points in your life to be celebrated. But to understand that those points of celebration will come and go, just like points of hardship will come and go. That when your car is going to break down or you're going to have a financial challenge, you can't do anything about it. It's going to happen. And so you first accept that fact, that you're going to have high points and low points. The second thing is, as someone who is on the pursuit of happiness, you want to prepare for the storms that are going to come. So you want to be mindful of your money. You want to actively save money. You want to actively put money aside, so when the storms come, you're able to weather the storms without them knocking over your home. At the same time, when you have joy, you want to be able to enjoy it without being like, oh my God, this is going to end. I'm happy, so something bad must happen. That's not true. Happiness comes and happiness goes. Hardship comes and hardship goes. What you want to eventually come to a point of is when you are in a state of happiness and you're with your friends or things are good, you want to enjoy them and you want to celebrate them. And when hardship comes, you want to look at that as your teacher to learn from your mistakes and say, okay, this period of suffering, what did I do to cause this, or what events caused it, and what did I do to make it worse, and how can I make it better so the next time this comes, it won't be so bad. And then you'll be able to live more mindfully. Because there's only 3 things that you can control in this world: how you think, how you feel, and how you act around any circumstance or an event. Everything else is already going to happen. That is our free will. Those 3 things: how we think, how we feel, and how we react. Everything else is out of our control and out of our hands. And the only thing that can determine the quality of our life is how we react to a situation. And when we live mindfully, and we're responsible, and we have good boundaries, and we prepare for the storms and celebrate our joys, that's where happiness comes from.
One thing very important that people are still seeming to have a struggle with, a lot of business people do, and actually in relationships too, is integrity. Why do you think this is, such a struggle for people? And how does a person live life with integrity?
Don't I know that's the biggest struggle? I see it all the time. I mean, it's a struggle in my business as a life coach. I see so many people out there that say they're life coaches and they've never gone through formal training. And they're like, oh, I just read a bunch of books and now I'm a life coach. Great. Just go do the trainings, man. They spend the extra couple. If you're going to go charge people a couple $100 for counseling, go do the certifications. Do it and do it with integrity, and do it with like a member of IFC. So it's like governing board to make sure the quality. I think consciousness starts at the top of any organization, and when you have and I'm not getting political here, okay? But when you have the leaders of the world, of all parties up on stage touting that they know best without having any integrity or any truth, that continue to lie and cheat and continue to manipulate, it's hard for people to live life with integrity. And then when you see people become successful and have all the bling and all the money that you think is going to break you happy, and you see those people and say, well, they have no integrity and they're successful, then why should I have integrity? Why should it matter if my leader is secretly having an affair and then telling me not to live like love, be have honor thy wife or honor thy husband, and then that person is secretly sleeping around? Why should I have integrity myself? Why should I build a business that's honest when people around me are lying and they're making all this money? And the only thing I can tell you is, from experience, that sooner or later, if you don't live your life with integrity and you're not honest and you don't live up to a higher standard, that sooner or later, that's going to come back and get you. It always does. And so you just have to accept and be like honest with your journey, and just do your best to live up to the principles that you believe in, and understand that at times other people are not going to appreciate it and they're going to try to tear you down. Because when you try to be a man of integrity or a woman of integrity, it causes other people to be insecure if they're not living up to those standards.
Personal growth and change, they're usually the biggest part of achieving life success. Why do you feel that so many people have a difficult time, with personal growth and changing the way that they do things and live their lives? How do they go about, achieving that personal growth so they can actually have the dreams that they want?
Yeah. I bring it all back to people. It's always about people. In the principles of yoga, and it's taught in a lot of different ancient yoga texts, like the Bhagavad Gita and the Shiva Puranas. It's talked about in the Bible. It's made famous by Jim Rohn. You are the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with. Okay? That's what makes change so hard. So your listener in this world, you want to change your life for the better. And you want to be more successful financially, or you want to have a better relationship with your wife or your husband, or you want to lose weight. And the people that you surround yourself with are not necessarily going to support you. And the reason why is I believe there's 2 fundamental factors, and it's going to take me a few minutes to explain this. So audience, buckle up. The first thing is, you as a person, in my belief, in my experience, identify with who you are in 3 categories. And you identify yourself with what you do for work, your community, like where you live, where you're from, your nationality, and your spiritual, political viewpoint. So it's who you are, your community, and your family, right? That's pretty much what everybody establishes themselves at, which is why when you go up to somebody and you meet them, what do people ask 9 times out of 10?
What do you do?
What do you do? What do you do for a living? And then what's everybody else ask? Where are you from? Right? And then people, and then people ask, well, what's your nationality? That's common. And so those are your 3 identifications. And so this is where change gets so hard. When 2 of your 3 identifications are secure, life is good, you can deal with change. So if your job is like stable, and your community is stable, meaning what you believe in and your values is in line with the people around you, and your family is secure, meaning you have a solid relationship, solid marriage, solid family, and one of those things gets a little bit in jeopardy, maybe like people from a different like social viewpoint move into your neighborhood, or you move to a different town, but your family's still strong and your job's still strong, change is easy, okay? But when those 2 of those situations change or get or unstable, change becomes hard because you lose your sense of identity. And this is why the world right now is in such chaos, because everything's changing really fast. The world's getting smaller and smaller. People in small communities around the world are no longer small. People of different religious viewpoints, people of different social viewpoints are moving on top of each other, which is creating chaos and destruction. So this is the first reason why change is so hard. 2 of your 3 identifications need to be secure in order for you to feel safe. The second part is your relationships. Now, there's 3 types of relationships you have in this world. The first one is your permanent relationships. These are the people that you've known your entire life that are never going to change, meaning your mom, your dad, your brothers, your sisters. These are people that will always see you one particular way. My mom, I love my mom to death, but she still sees me to this day as her 12-year-old hyperactive son. So whenever my mom asks me for advice and I give it to her, she doesn't listen to me. Or whenever something's wrong in the house when I'm there, it's always my fault because I was a little bit of a destructive kid. So she's never going to change her viewpoint of me. So the first type of friend is your permanent friend. The second type of friend or relationship you have are your temporary friends. And these are the people that you meet at different points in your life. These are like your childhood friends, the people that you have met in high school or college, work friends, if you were dating someone, and their friends, temporary friends, people at different stages of life. The third category of friends is your change friends. These are rare friends. These are people that are into personal growth and spiritual development that like you for who you are, no matter what you believe in, no matter what your role, that if you went up to them and said, you know what, I want to, take on this business. I have this great business idea, or I want to become healthy. They're not going to judge you. They're going to cheer you on. Those people are very rare. Those change people that really invite change into their world because they're spiritual beings. They don't identify with the body and the mind. They identify themselves with the spiritual self. So change is no big deal for them. And so when you want to change as a person and you want to grow and you read a personal growth book like The Miracle Morning, which is one of my favorite books that I give all my clients to read, which talks about getting up in the morning and doing a series of exercises in the morning to make your life better. And your social life revolves around hanging out with your friends after work and watching sports and drinking beers and eating, unhealthy food. And you want to change to get up in the morning. Those are people that aren't going to allow you to change because you're part of their community. So they're identifying themselves with you as part of their community. So if you decide to change, it's disrupting their belief structure, which causes resistance. And so in order for you to change, why personal growth is so hard, you have to let go of your temporary friends. So the people you surround yourself with aren't necessarily going to be the people you're going to be friends with in 3 or 4 years on your growth journey. At the same time, your permanent friends, the people that view you one way, you have to put up appropriate boundaries around them so their viewpoints can't affect you. That's where it gets really hard. So the people that you've known your whole life, you can't share your journey with them unless they're change friends. And the second thing is you have to ask yourself, with your quote-unquote lifelong friends that you've been friends with your whole life, that you're your best friends, that if you move to a different part of the country, would you still see them? And chances are not. Chances are you wouldn't see them, and you wouldn't have, like, they wouldn't be your best friend anymore. So you have to let them go in order to become a better person. And that's an acceptance that's hard for most people.
Powerful, powerful, powerful. I'm extremely impressed right now. Oh, this is great. Thank you. You already know that, everything's by nature, life's just ups and downs. There's no keeping everything good all the time. Now, throughout your journey, what do you feel was that time where you felt most personally unsuccessful?
I was 37 years old. I went from making $160,000 a year. I had a great job, corner office, beautiful Manhattan girlfriend, to making $8 an hour, cleaning yoga mats, living in my parents' basement with no money, broke, because I didn't know how to go from like a high-end lifestyle to starting over with a humble lifestyle. So I went through my entire savings in a year. I blew through like tons of money because I didn't know how to live modestly. And so that was my biggest failure that period in my career. I've had other setbacks along the way where, as a yoga teacher, I've been fired from a yoga studio because my values and what I believe yoga was not in line with the studio that I taught at, and had a blow up with a yoga studio and ultimately got fired/quit. So I've had failures there. I have lost clients that, haven't liked my advice. And, so I've had rough points in my career as a yoga teacher and life coach, but I've always continued to move my needle forward, because every time I've had a hard point, I've looked at it and said, okay, what can I do next time to make it better? And how can I handle this situation in the future to make it better?
What do you feel was one of the hardest things for you to overcome in your business, but you've since conquered?
From an ego standpoint, I had to learn to brand myself and get my message out there. It was really hard for me at first, because when I started off as a life coach, I have some really semi-famous coaches, like guru coaches out there. And I'm not going to name drop them, but they're friends of mine that encouraged me to go on this journey as a life coach and a yoga teacher. And I compared myself to them, and they've been doing coaching for 10 years, and they're on stage at these major conferences. They've spoken at TED Talk. And for me, it was, who am I? I'm not X person, very famous, wrote 5 books, has been on Oprah. How am I better than them? And what kind of message do I have to share this world? And it took me a long time to have the courage to get my message out there, to start a blog, to get on shows like this and share my message and my purpose in life. And it was really hard for me.
What was your most challenging client-related situation, and how did you resolve that?
I have them all the time.
You know what's funny? Everyone I ask that question, they start with a chuckle.
Because you just have them. I mean, we're in people. Look, this morning I was teaching out a yoga studio that I own a little piece of, and I was working the front desk, and this woman walked in, and she was I was tired from the night before. I was stretching, drinking my coffee, and she came in with a little bit of an attitude, and I was cranky this morning, and so I had a little bit of an attitude, and she wanted to take the class for free, and I said it was $20. I said we have free coupons for classes around town, but I don't have any at the front desk right now, so you have to go get one, and she didn't get one, and then she called me rude, and I was like, okay, bye, see you later, and I just kind of was like, then don't be here. And I could have handled that better. I could have been more compassionate and be like, you know what, why don't you pay for the $20 drop-in, and I'll get you a card for next time. I could have been nicer, but I was a little cranky, and I was at my low point there. And it happens. We do our best in this world. We have points where we're really good people, we're really compassionate, and then we have times when we're just like not in her best mood. My biggest challenge with a client is I had one client who started to develop an inappropriate relationship with me, that she sort of started to like me on an emotional level. And I was new in my business and was having difficulty setting strong boundaries. And I handled it as well as possible. And I kind of was like, I can't work with you anymore because of these, inappropriate relationships that you want to have with me. And I could have probably been a little bit more sympathetic at the time, but I knew that if I didn't kind of nip it in the bud right away, it could have led down a slippery slope, and I could have lost my integrity. Because I've seen a lot of yoga teachers and spiritual life coaches who get in situations where, we know a little bit more than the average person. We're a little bit more steady in our mind. We're a little bit more in shape. And sometimes people are in relationships that they're not being nurtured, they're not being loved, and they develop inappropriate feelings for us. And it's easy to fall down that slippery slope and get into inappropriate relationship with students and clients. And so I was like, I got to nip this in the bud right away. And it was probably a little harsher, and it could have been a little bit gentler.
What one thing in your business are you currently struggling to overcome?
I got a couple challenges right now. My first one is I have a barrier financially that I'm trying to get past, and I keep not getting to that level, my next level financially, that every time I get close to the next level financially, either a yoga studio that I've taught at has gone under, because that's in the industry, it's oversaturated, so the yoga studios are closing right now, or a client has canceled. And I don't have a high, I have a very low, I have a high retention rate. I have a low cancellation rate. I think I've only lost 2 clients in 3 years. But I keep getting this barrier to the next level. And so that's my first one, is I'm trying to get to the next level of my business financially. And my second thing I'm struggling with right now, I'm trying to really kind of get to the next level, is I want to try to get to I launch a professional podcast that I'm working towards setting up. That right now I'm trying to put the pieces together. That's kind of hard right now. Those are my 2 obstacles I'm working on right now.
What's your hardest part about that? Is that you're trying to actually fit it into your schedule?
But I'm trying to set it up where I have a team that is going to kind of help run it with me, where I'm going to have a talent agent for booking. I'm going to have that's for booking podcast, that's going to do bookings and give me a rundown of the speaker or the writer, a professional engineer, and a professional a sound guy. Trying to put together a really nice team for it. And so what I'm trying to do then is I'm trying to build more of my online coaching business. So I'm taking a huge financial investment and doing a heavy Facebook and Google ad campaign for my coaching business right now.
Okay.
That I'm starting in 3 weeks. I'm kind of nervous about.
Oh.
I've never spent this much money before on my business that I'm going to invest in. Hardcore Facebook advertising and Google advertising.
Taking it to the next level.
I'm hiring a guy, a person from my mastermind group, who's based in India, to do a high level social media and internet marketing campaign for life coaching. Yeah. Taking it to the next level.
That's great. What do you feel is your one biggest business triumph to date?
Besides being on shows like yours?
Yeah. Besides that.
I've successfully, I like to celebrate the little victories, but I think my big triumph is I have a high retention rate with my clients, that I've been working with my clients for a long period of time, that I'm still accessible, and I continue to build my online one-on-one coaching business, and I keep moving that needle forward, and it's been great. And so my next plan is, after I get my online coaching business to the next level, is launch a professional podcast, get that going, and then do some public speaking trainings and get that going. So like I have like a whole vision mapped out through Evernote.
What do you feel is your one biggest personal triumph today?
I'm not allowed to talk about one because I promised her I would not talk about it, so I can't. That's a personal thing.
Okay.
Sorry. So, I'm really proud of the fact that I've, over the last 2 years, have really built back up my savings accounts and created like a business runway fund. And I've actively saved money to the point where, like, if I didn't work for the next 6 months, I'd be okay financially. And that feels really good to have that again. And I had no money 2 years ago. And it started with this saving $25 a week, man, or a month. Excuse me, $25 a month. That's where it started. And it just kind of now I built it up over 2 years, and it's been nice.
Wow.
I'm really proud of it, actually. I'm like, yeah, like I have a real savings account again. I have a business runway fund that I can deal with. Like, I have a little payroll, and like, so if money doesn't come in, I have payroll like money. So like business slows down for like 2 months, like I can like tighten the belt and rebuild that fund up. I have like a stock portfolio again. I have a 401k again. Like all these things that like I didn't have for a couple of years, and it caused high anxiety in my life.
Awesome. Hang tight, successors. We'll return to our conversation with Michael Kohan as well as quick success after a word from our sponsors. Podcasters, want more listeners? Check out promosharecast.com and join the community today. That's promosharecast.com. Join today and get the first month free, and you'll also receive 50% off for a lifetime membership. Sign up today. promosharecast.com. Are you a tense, tired, busy person who works day in and day out who tends to lack the proper sleep and energy? Using modular supplements, health-related articles, recipes, life hacks, and more, Bellison can help. With quality as high as Bellison, you're buying from a company that cares about the environment and only uses premium vegan supplements. That's Bellison.com. Want to learn how to cook healthy, exercise, and meditate in just 30 minutes a day? Bellison.com. Want to feel healthy, energetic, and focused like me? Bellison.com. To receive a 10% discount at checkout, visit Bellison.com with the coupon code THE4POS. Visit Bellison.com now. That's BELISAN.com. Compassion and quality without compromise. Bellison.com. And we're back with Michael Kohan. Now we get into the part of the show I like to call Quick Success, where you, Michael, can inspire the successors to enhance their lives in the areas of knowledge, health, wealth, and spirituality. Michael, what are you currently doing to enhance your knowledge?
Well, right now I'm trying to finish up a certification in NLP, or neuro-linguistic pathways, that I'm currently studying, and I try to pick at it. I'm doing an online certification in it. I try to spend like a couple hours a week, and I'm getting through that. At the same time, I'm advancing my Tai Chi practice. I'm studying more Tai Chi, and that helps with more of my mind and body.
What are you currently doing to enhance your health?
Keeping up with what I do, practicing yoga, maintaining a vegan vegetarian diet. I'm trying to do more green juices. And what's great is they're becoming more and more affordable. When you go to the grocery store, green juices, you got cold pressed juices used to be like $12, $15. Now you get them for like $4. It's great.
I love it. I can't get enough of those green juices. I've probably said this before, but my Vitamix blender is probably the best money I've ever spent.
Yeah, I'm out and about a lot, so I don't Vitamix a lot because of my life schedule. But like I notice when I have a green juice, my eyelid, the whites of my eyes are clearer. My skin looks better. I feel better. I sleep better. So I try to do a green juice almost every day.
Oh yeah. What are you currently doing to enhance your wealth?
I'm actively saving on average anywhere from 10 to 20% of my income every month. That I have moved away from rebuilding my cash savings and my emergency fund, and now I'm investing in my index funds and moving towards saving for a house.
What are you currently doing to enhance your spirituality?
continue to practice yoga. I get up in the morning every day and do 30 minutes of japa prayer meditation followed by silent meditation. And I try to go to my temple every Sunday to spend time with other spiritually like-minded individuals.
When it comes to success, what do you feel is the one, what is one of your best pieces of advice you've ever received?
So success is not financial wealth. Success is work-life spiritual integration. When you live life as the same person in your family life, in your social life, in your work life, then you're successful. That your beliefs, your values as a human being, and your integrity are not compromised in any of those three areas of life. That you have enough and you don't need more to be happy.
Are there any modern technologies or apps that help you achieve success?
I'm a big fan of Evernote, like you and I talked about. When I was starting out with my career and trying to save money, I used a automated rounding app called Acorn, which basically links your credit cards and your bank account and your debit card to an ETF fund, and it would round out a little bit of money and put it into the stock market. And that helped me start my savings account again because I started to see that little bit of money grow and I got excited about it. And as that grew, it gave me the motivation to start saving in other areas also. And it was a great app.
What new thing, book, activity, skill, or technology are you excited to learn and dive into?
Well, right now, I'm really excited in studying NLP, or neuro-linguistic pathways, which is basically, it's the study of understanding the language of the mind and our thought patterns and how negative thought patterns or positive thought patterns affect our life, and using our subconscious mind to make our lives better through, affirmations and examining how we think and feel.
As far as helping the listeners achieve success in whatever it is they're doing, what piece of advice can you give them?
The best advice I ever got, and the advice that I started, which took me from living in my parents' basement at 36, 37 years old, broke and out of work, and emotionally and financially devastated, was the book The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. To read that book and practice the principles in that book by getting up in the morning before you start your day and doing his lifesavers before you do anything else. And when you take care of that morning routine, then the rest of the day gets easier, because we as humans only have so much willpower, and it's the highest in the morning. So do everything that you need to get done that you don't want to do first thing in the morning, and especially for yourself, like meditation and exercise and journaling and studying.
And Successors, Michael has a special offer for you. Michael, what is that?
So if your clients and your listeners go to yourwellnessyogi.com/success, they'll go to my website where they can sign up for it starts as a free Circle of Life quiz that I'll send them, that basically takes 5 minutes, and it will help them identify areas of their life that they're in balance, where they don't have work-life spiritual integration. And then after they fill out that quiz, about 5 days later, they'll get another workbook, which will be a goal-setting workbook that will teach them how to set SMART goals, that will teach them to clear their intention, to create a timeline, and to develop healthy habits. Then 5 days later, they'll get another workbook on relationships, and it'll have the 5 languages of love and communication techniques and other skills that help you live a more and better rounded relationship lifestyle. Then they'll get another workbook 5 days later called the Career Workbook that will teach them different career skills on how to navigate in the corporate or entrepreneurial world to figure out what their purpose is and to find fulfillment in their job. And then I'll typically send them another workbook, an exercise workbook, or a Ayurvedic workbook that will teach people about Ayurvedic nutrition or have you develop healthy exercise habits.
All right, Successors, you heard it right there. Just go to yourwellnessyogi.com/success and get your free Circle of Life quiz and your free 3 workbooks for goals, relationships, career, and more. Michael, how can our listeners connect with you?
Well, the best way to connect with me is either go to my website, yourwellnessyogi.com. I have a blog there. I write almost every week. Right now, I'm a little slow. There's communication. They can sign up. They can email me there. Any questions? They can go on Facebook, and they can go to Your Wellness Yogi on Facebook, and they can find me there. And those are the best places to find me, is either my website or on Facebook. I don't do a lot of other social media because I find it to be just a distraction. And since I don't really follow it, why should I be there?
Finally, Michael, what's your definition of success?
My definition of success is work-life spiritual integration. When you live harmoniously and you have a strong relationship and you have great communication with your partner and your family, you're surrounded by people that love and support you no matter what you want to do, that you have a job that brings you personal satisfaction, and you live within your means and you have contentment for what you have, which gives you the opportunity to kind of spend life in a spiritual practice through religion or spirituality. And when you have that full integration, then you're successful. Not whether you're driving the BMW or you have the big house, but rather if you're living mindfully and spiritually.
Successors, I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Michael Kohan. Please check out more successful free content like this at the4pos.com, as well as rate and review wherever you find your podcast. Thanks for listening and prepare for success. Thanks, Michael.
Oh, my pleasure. Have a great week, man.